You're welcome along to a very special Keith Andrews show. No, I am not your favourite floppy-haired midfielder. No, I'm not a legend of Wolves, of Blackburn, of West Brom. No, I'm not the only Irish player ever to have been sent off in the major finals. I would never do such a thing to my country. That's right, Keith Andrews, unfortunately, has not been able to make it for his own show. He just hasn't delivered the goods. Yet again, for you, the people. But I am here. It's Nathan with you for the next hour or so. Stephen Doyle is with us.
Hey, Nathan.
And Philip Egan as well. How are you?
All good, yeah.
So we got a busy show coming up. It is the final Keith Andrews show, possibly ever, but certainly of the year. We're going to do our 2018 awards in a little while. We're going to be doing our team of the year, our goal of the year, our game of the year, our Irish player of the year, which is going to be quite difficult. So you can get your thoughts on any of those in on any of our social comments. We are live, as always, on all our channels, on Facebook, on YouTube and on Periscope. We're also going to be wondering if it's Christmas cheer or Christmas fear for some of the leading teams in the Premier League, looking through their fixtures. But really, there is only one place to start this week. Jose's gone, Ole Gunnar's in for the next 6 months, but already today it's emerging that he will be given a chance to make the role his own. What do you make of it all, Steve-O?
Quite underwhelming, I thought. You know, they're only 11 points off top four. They can still make it. Ole Gunnar Solskjær has managed in the Premier League, as we know. It didn't go too well with Cardiff City back in 2014. And I just think, I understand, you know, when you look out there, there isn't too many big name managers that you could maybe say, right, let's get in here and do a job. But then I'm looking at the likes of Antonio Conte. He's out of work. A few people have suggested maybe toying with United fans, Arsene Wenger. But why not get somebody in there who has experience at the top level of football and to try and make that top four? It just seems that Ole Gunnar Solskjær, from what we've read and what we've seen about the appointment, is that he's just a stopgap until they get somebody permanently next summer. Now, it has emerged that they're willing to pay 7.2 million compensation, added on to the 1.8 to Mulder if he does well and they decide to appoint him permanently. I just don't think he is going to do well. I think they're going to end up in mid-table. And why shouldn't they have just gone out there and got the man they wanted?
Well, because maybe the man they wanted is unavailable and is currently in a club like Maurizio Pochettino. Football is the maddest industry.
Yeah.
This makes absolutely no sense. Much like when Martin O'Neill left the Irish job. This insane rush to make the most important decision in your association or your club's immediate future. That, okay, I'm sure they had some sort of planning in place for Jose Mourinho leaving, that it wasn't literally a 24-hour decision, or maybe, knowing Manchester United the way it is at the moment, maybe it was. But again, they've a game against Cardiff on Saturday. Give yourself a week even. Yeah. Have a look around, as you say. Think about Antonio Conte. Think about what Conte has done in England. Is he the guy that you feel could do the job for the next 3 years? Or look around and think, okay, maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjær is what we want, and we want Maurizio Pochettino, or we want somebody else next summer. But we've at least thought about it. We've gone through all the various options, whereas again, it just seems to be, we need to get this done as quickly as possible. We can't leave this vacuum that'll be filled with nonsense. We just need to get a name out there, and the supporters left something to get behind at the weekend. What do you make of it, Phil?
It seems that, even just touching on the Ireland situation and the Manchester United situation, what the public think and what supporters think seems to be key, because Ireland, obviously, Martin O'Neill was gone and there was this rush to get it done before the Euro draw. Well, we have to have a manager in before the draw takes place because it's taking place in Dublin. Manchester United think, right, we've got rid of Jose Mourinho. You can't imagine on Sunday when you saw Ed Woodward covering his mouth to Bobby Charlton going, get Solskjær, get me Solskjær. That's not what he was thinking. But it's just, it goes into the, Ole Gunnar Solskjær, he's a club legend, scored the winning goal in the 1999 Champions League final. Alex Ferguson said this guy was going to be a successful future manager. He knows the club. But the problem is, like, you might know Manchester United, but do you know football, like modern day football? It's changed so much. And there's so much going wrong at Manchester United. Ed Woodward gets a lot of stick. He's in a job that he's not qualified to do. What he's doing very well is he's bringing money into the club.
Is that not his job?
His job is to bring money, but he's also the guy that brings the managers in and the players, but he's not able to do that. He doesn't know football. He wants a director of football brought in. So that's what they have to look at doing.
And this is the thing, I think they're one of only 4 Premier League clubs that doesn't have a director of football there. And, you know, it would also give Edward Woodward another shield from the public and from the fans at Old Trafford, is that if he did have a director of football, you know, he could unload the responsibility onto that person if things do go wrong. So I just cannot see why didn't they appoint somebody as a director of football, somebody with knowledge, because, you know, as you've alluded to there, we know at Old Trafford there's nobody among the top brass there who has a clue about football.
Well, I was making that point to Dave on last night's football show, that it's unbelievable that a club, the richest club in the world, the biggest club in the world, that when they sack their manager, Ed Woodward looks around and basically Michael Carrick is the most senior figure within the club, because Ferguson and Charlton, for their legendary status, aren't still involved on a day-to-day basis. They're not looking around Europe at what are the latest tactical trends, the latest coaching trends. That there's not somebody there who can go into Ed Woodward the day after you fire Mourinho and go, well, as almost Arsenal did, here's the 50 coaches, the 50 best coaches, here's who we think and we want to start at the top of our list with, and we'll work our way down. Like, Arsenal are the prime example of what Manchester United, you feel, would need to do, whereas they didn't just bring in one director of football, they brought in 2 or 3 senior
They were doing it
figures
towards the end of the Wenger era.
Like they spent nearly a season, I think, in installing people into different positions within the top upper realms of the club, and got the foundations laid first before getting...
Like, they planned for life after Wenger. Surely United knew that Mourinho was a short-term fix. He was brought in to win a league title, which this is the first time he's failed at a club. So then you have to ask, why has he failed? Is Jose a busted flush, or are Manchester United just in such turmoil that whoever comes in isn't going to be able to turn things around?
Yeah, and it could well be a little bit of both, and it wouldn't be a surprise if the next manager also comes in and struggles, because people do forget that when Louis van Gaal went, it was finally Manchester United have got their man. They should have appointed Mourinho the day Alex Ferguson said he was leaving the club, that there will be this instant upturn that sort of came but never fully developed. It's Solskjær's, when you look at the possible lists of a 6-month replacement, and if they did want somebody who knew the club, like, when you look at it now, if Roy Keane wasn't such a lunatic, he could well have been in the reckoning for this position.
Which
Likewise, I'm sure Gary Neville is a little bit peeved that maybe he didn't get the opportunity. But of all those, is Solskjær not the best pick? Because, so he's involved in management still, is obviously very ambitious, has been at United since he was a player, so was in charge of the reserves. So it's not quite as big a gap out of the game, because I do wonder with this thing of they need somebody who knows the club. Well, if Manchester United is the same club now as it was 10 years ago, you can see where everything's going wrong if they're not moving with the times.
Well, I suppose they, you know, if it's a stopgap, they should have been looking at, right, what do we want to get from this manager? You know, if he's only going to be there till the end of the season, what do we want from him?
What's the success?
The first thing for United is get into the Champions League. That's the main thing. Get into the top 4. They're only 11 points off. It's still doable. If you even look at the next few fixtures, they've got Cardiff City away, Huddersfield at home, Bournemouth at home, and Newcastle away. Now that's a possible 12 points there. You know, United should be striving to get 12 points from those games if they get somebody in who knows what they're doing. You know, it's a bit like when Rafa Benitez went into Chelsea that time, or Gus Hiddink has come in there and done the job
That's
as well.
the difference. Like, Benitez and
like
Hiddink are up there in terms of their pedigree, and Solskjær is down there. And we're talking about the richest club in the world.
Yeah, he's won league titles in Norway. You know, you look at the Cardiff, when he went into Cardiff, I think
3 out of 18 league games he won.
He won, and like the opening run of games, because he had a cup win in the FA Cup third round, but then went on to lose. I think it was Sunderland, Hull City, Newcastle. It was all the bottom teams.
But is that fair? Because Cardiff was an absolute basket case at the time.
Well, is that Manchester United not?
But they had the resources that he will have, and the players that he will have, and everything you read about what Solskjaer's done over the last few years is that he learnt a huge amount from his time at Cardiff. That is quite a progressive, ambitious, thoughtful coach. Tactically, that he's quite aware, is a very good motivator of players, is happy to delegate, will be happy to say to Mike Phelan, you take the sessions, this is what I want from the players, but that he's somebody who'll get into the players' heads. And
well, sorry, if he's ambitious, why is he still at Mulder? That's what I'd be asking. If he's ambitious, why is he not coaching in Germany, Spain, France, one of the top leagues?
That is a fair point as to who else was chasing him.
Yeah.
So he's got the job On a technicality. He's got the job because he's a club legend. And this is the danger for Manchester United, that they keep harping back to years gone by. And this is a mistake.
There's no other example anywhere in English football as to where this has gone wrong previously.
And this is what happens there. And you just get stuck in a rut, and then it'll always be, no, this is the Manchester United way. Look, the Manchester United way under Alex Ferguson, things have changed, the game has changed, and United just haven't moved with it. Now,
in 10 years' time, the Manchester United way will be like the West Ham way, when everyone goes, what the hell is that? What the hell? There's no such thing as the Manchester United way. There was the Alex Ferguson way.
Yeah. Winning.
And
Exactly.
in fairness to Jurgen Klopp, it's one of the things he I suppose one of the messages he repeatedly put across was that he showed respect for the great things like the club had achieved in the past, but he was always about, we want to move on, we want to achieve new things, we want to make new history. You know, it's not, he wanted to get the players to stop looking into the past. That was one of the things that he made a big thing about when he went into Liverpool, and that's what United need to do. You know, I know it's only recent history, but they've got to forget about their past.
Yeah, but it weighs down on the players as well, because you've got players now in the United squad who, they're not good enough to win league titles, but if you play in a team that's, say, okay, they're 6th at the moment, so if you're playing for teams around them, so Wolves, Everton, Bournemouth, if you lose a game, okay, you lost. It's not as big a deal. But if you lose a game, like if United were to lose at Cardiff this weekend, they would be absolutely hammered.
Well, let's talk about that then. Let's get on to our Christmas cheer, Christmas fear, and look at the fixture list for some of the teams over the next couple of weeks, because it is a veritable feast of football coming up. So let's start with Manchester United then, because coming out of Anfield on Sunday, you were looking at United's next 4 fixtures and thinking very winnable for Jose Mourinho, but all 4 of them potential banana skins. And it sort of continues with Ole Gunnar Solskjær, because as what you say, because of his lack of big-time managerial experience, if he was to lose any one of those 4 games, suddenly there's question marks.
Yeah. Neil Warnock as well. He'll love this.
Yeah.
He's just turned 70. He'd be there saying to the lads, do you remember this? He's the reason we had to fight it out in the Championship for the last few seasons, because we got relegated with this lad in charge. This is the kind of game, if Jose was in charge, Fellaini would be playing, because he'd be trying to negate the long throws from Gunnarsson or Steve Morrison.
Yeah, absolutely.
So United's 4 fixtures, we can have a look at them there, are Cardiff away, Huddersfield at home, Bournemouth at home, and then Newcastle away. That is ahead of the FA Cup games in the new year. Like, do you think there is going to be this automatic new manager bounce?
Well,
Like, Cardiff are brutal.
the first thing I'm looking
He's not home though.
where's your main striker, Romelu Lukaku? Has anybody seen the condition he's in lately? He looks like a man who isn't fit.
Does he?
Yeah, I have to say, I think
I don't see it. I think like he's bulked up a little bit, but
yeah.
You were at the game on Sunday. Like, what did you notice anything different about him?
or he didn't touch the ball was the main problem he had. Now, he was going up against the slickest defender in the Premier League right now, a man who doesn't have an ounce of anything that shouldn't be there on him in Big Verge.
Absolutely. I think they need to look at, well, look, he's got to, I suppose, for the one thing he's going to have that Jose Mourinho didn't have is that all the squad are going to be on his side, aren't they? You know, and because it's not like this case where I know at any time, at any football team, like even Liverpool, there's going to be unhappy players at Liverpool because there's lads not starting. So even at the successful teams, you're going to have unhappy players. But when Solskjær goes in here now, he's going to have 23, 24 players who are all happy because Jose Mourinho is gone and they want to impress the new guy. So I think that's one thing he has going from. I think he needs to look at who are my best players here, who can get the best performance from me. I think you got to look at first Marcus Rashford starting as a striker, maybe playing Martial, Jesse Lingard with them. Then who are your best defenders?
4-3-3 formation?
Yeah, possibly. I think who are the best defenders? Well, like Dalot he's been looking good, hasn't he? First of all, right back. Who do you play left back? Darmian maybe.
Play Ashley Young ahead of Darmian.
Well, that's a fair point. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to get 110% out of Young, and then you got to look at. I know they're stuck really for centre halves at the moment. That's going to be a big issue. Can he get that defence solid before Saturday afternoon? It's an early kickoff.
What about playing a diamond and playing Rashford and Martial up front together as a front two? Lingard just in behind, Pogba to the left, Fred to the right, Matic at the base. Boom.
Well,
caretaker for the next
I don't
6
know.
months.
I think because if you look at the French team that won the World Cup and you had was going to say Deschamps, but you had Pogba playing alongside Kante. So why not play Pogba alongside Matic as that? And I think you'll get the best out of Pogba then, and then play whatever it is an attacking three behind Marcus Rashford.
Matic is probably going to be one of the key players for Solskjær over the next 6 months because his form has dipped massively. Because he's a good professional, he's been getting away with it, and he just keeps the head down. He doesn't do the social media the way Paul Pogba does.
Yeah.
But his form has just fallen off a cliff, as it did at Chelsea when things started to go wrong for them.
Yeah, and he's actually notorious for not having the best second half of the season. Actually, when they won the title under Conte, he started getting left out of the team, and Conte went for N'Golo Kante and Fabregas in midfield. But he's been dreadful. He just looks like he's knackered. He just looks so slow. And as well, like what Mourinho has left is players of a certain height, but they're not very quick. And more dynamic teams find it quite easy to play around them. They'll probably be fine against Cardiff because Cardiff will try and go direct. That might suit them. But one thing we just didn't know under Mourinho, his best formation, his best team, because he was having so many rows with different people. He was leaving players out. Obviously, he was leaving Pogba out. He wasn't picking the best 11 that he had available to him. So that's something Solskjær is going to have. And what will be interesting is the running stats. And people say, they were well able to run. In fairness to the United players, the tactics that Mourinho employed didn't really give them the chance to put in the big shift the way when you look at the running stats and you see the likes of Liverpool and City and Arsenal up there.
Yeah.
Because, he'd sit so deep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's look at some of the other teams then, starting with the league leaders, Liverpool. Their 4 fixtures over the Christmas. Starting Friday night, they are away to Wolves tomorrow evening, 8 o'clock kickoff at Molineux. Then they have Newcastle on St. Stephen's Day. That game is live and off the ball from 3 o'clock. Followed up by Arsenal at home on the Saturday, and then City away on Thursday, January 3rd, which is a game we'll also have live here on Off the Ball. So 2 games, winnable, and then 2 very, very tough matches. Because you look at Liverpool's drop points, Arsenal and City, 2 of the 3 teams that have taken points off them.
Well, I think somebody threw a spanner in the works last night as well for Liverpool. I'd be a little bit concerned going into this Wolves game. Dejan Lovren has given an interview in which he says
Good to hear.
that he thinks Liverpool can go the rest of the season unbeaten. He was asked, can they replicate what the Arsenal Invincibles did in 03-04? And he said, well, Arsenal did it. Sure, why not?
Who lets
What
Lovren
else are you
do
meant to
anything?
say?
I think that is, if I was Jurgen Klopp, I would be fining that man 2 weeks' wages.
Here.
It's ridiculous.
For what?
Don't
Come up with the cliched answer, just say, well, we can't look that far ahead.
Yeah.
1 game at a time, starting with
Absolutely.
Wolves.
We're concentrating on Wolves this weekend.
Nah,
You're
you
talking
can't,
to 2
you
dubs
can't
here. This is how you deal with
criticise.
the media.
This was what I was going to say. You can't work in the media and say footballers never say anything, and then when they do say something,
I don't think
destroy them for it.
Oh, no, listen, I think it's, as a journalist, I think it's amazing. I think it's brilliant that he's come out and
Great
said
headline.
this. But he's just, I'd say his team, I'd say Jordan Henderson and a couple of lads are going, look, reading those quotes, they going, oh no, Dejan, what are you doing?
I'd say, Jordan, you mind your own game there.
I'd say you worry about getting back into the
You keep up your 100 5-yard passes in a game, Jordan, and we'll all be delighted for you.
Yeah, no,
It's Virgil van Dijk alongside him who's probably smacking him across the head.
yeah, he does play a lot better with Van Dijk beside him, which is understandable. Van Dijk makes everybody look good, but it's a tough one. They have a good record against the top 6 Wolves. Only Spurs have beaten them. They should have beaten Arsenal. They obviously beat Chelsea. They were decent at Old Trafford. They obviously drew at City. So it's a tough one. And Liverpool, they got, I suppose, the carrot, the prize is win and you finish. You're top of Christmas. You're top the Christmas tree.
And you're 4 points ahead of City. So finally you're putting a little bit of pressure on them.
Do you think, though, that the Wolves back 3 is there to be exposed by the Liverpool attacking 3? Is that...
Yeah, Wolves have slightly changed things ahead. I'll be interested to see what team Wolves go with and whether they can live with the way Liverpool pressed. So I watched Wolves up in Newcastle recently, and obviously Newcastle aren't a team of any confidence or any great talent at the moment. But they left Moutinho on the bench and Newcastle got at Neves. And it was a proper scrap in the middle, and he never had time, until Newcastle had a player sent off, to take a breath with the ball in the centre circle and do what he does and pick out the right pass. So I do think if they can get Fabinho or Wijnaldum or whoever just biting at their heels, get at Moutinho, get at Neves, turn it into a bit of an old school English battle. That's exactly what Wolves don't like. They like to be able to control possession, which I'm not sure they're going to be able to do tomorrow night. If what they'll be hoping, I think, Liverpool would be delighted, I'd imagine, if they're within a point of City after these 4 games.
Yeah, I think if they were a point behind even after they play City at the Etihad, then we have ourselves a hell of a title race. But if City kind of stretch it to 4 or 5 points, and sometimes it can work out, the fixtures can work out where City get a chance to strike the first blow. I have to say, I think Liverpool have done it incredibly well, because that late goal against Everton, I wonder how crucial that's going to be, because you looked at that and then you saw they were away to Burnley, away to Bournemouth, and you kind of thought, you know what, if they win those 2 games, they could be in, because you knew City were going to Chelsea. And that's how it's worked out. Yeah,
things have gone well for Liverpool. Let's look at Wolves' fixtures over the Christmas period. So they have Liverpool, then Fulham, Spurs, Crystal Palace. The aim for Wolves is pretty simple, I think. Finish 7th, be the best of the rest. That will go down as a good season.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's look at Manchester City. Are you going for Christmas cheer or fear for Liverpool then?
What's the in-between?
Look, it's a simple bloody game. Cheer or fear?
I'll go...
We've forgotten about this by next week, Phil.
I'll go cheer.
Cheer. What about Manchester City then? They take on Crystal Palace at the weekend on Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff. Then they are away to Leicester on St. Stephen's Day. A trip to Southampton before that game against Liverpool. And then they've got a couple of cup matches in January. So they've got a lot of fixtures as well over January, February between all the different cup competitions they're in. Those 3 games, is this very much Christmas cheer for Man City?
I think so, and the crucial thing here is that I think it gives Pep Guardiola a real opportunity to rotate his squad before the Liverpool game, whereas Liverpool have Arsenal before they play City, and even the Wolves game as well. Like Klopp can't really afford to be resting players. He's already got injuries that he's dealing with now at the moment. City have just got Kevin De Bruyne back, key man for them.
Aguero back.
The key man, Aguero's back as well.
He'll be back soon.
Yeah, so he can rotate his squad. Like Crystal Palace, give me a break, absolutely rubbish. Leicester City away, that should be okay for them as well. Leicester City are just so inconsistent. I think Southampton might give them a problem, because Hasenhüttl has shown now, they're going to play a running
attacking game. Don't forget to get it right.
Hasenhüttl, who's Austrian as well, by the way, and a lot of English media, I think, call him German. But anyway.
Doesn't that call him the Austrian Klopp?
Austrian, yes, but I have seen him referred in match reports to as German. So anyway,
written letters to the editor.
I should do, actually. That's me.
Don't be sitting in here bitching about it. Go do something about it.
Spend my Christmas time off, Nathan.
It's a great crack around Steve-O's, I'd say. That has a bit of Slade.
I think, rock and roll. But listen, I think City will get the chance to rotate here. And it's just, will he rotate properly before that Liverpool game? That's going to be it's going to be such a big match. It's going to be great. Can't wait for it now. But I think City are going to be okay this Christmas, definitely. Should be looking at maximum points before Liverpool, and then
see what happens.
Yeah.
The Leicester game would be interesting. I watched Leicester the other night, and he left Vardy out of the squad. So if Vardy is fit and playing against Manchester City, they have a chance of causing them a little bit of trouble.
Well, it's so relentless at the top. A draw at this stage feels huge for either team. That if it allows you to get a gap, maybe that's the momentum builder you need. So they're the teams at the top, as I say, lots of games and off the ball over the Christmas, and on Premier League Live as well. What have you got this Saturday?
We actually have Manchester City, Crystal Palace. So, you sit in at 3 o'clock and you think, right, Palace, just get through the first 20 minutes, right?
3-0 at half-time, 8 people listening for the second half.
Yeah, well, we did the Bournemouth game, and when they equalised, we were all going, Actually, funny enough, we did the United-Fulham game, and they ruined it. United were 3-0 up at half-time. So we've Jason McAteer with us this weekend, and he tends to... Well, he's got this hex over United. I wonder, can he work his magic with City?
Oh, he's the anti-Kilban. Whenever Kilban turns up at Anfield now, Liverpool win.
Just
keep them coming is what you're saying.
Well, if we want to get this title race, keep it going.
Let's look then at a couple of teams at the bottom and teams who are desperate to get out of the relegation fight. Might start with Burnley, who are still there, and there's no great sign of things turning around for Burnley. So they play Arsenal in the early game on Saturday at the Emirates. Then they have Everton on St. Stephen's Day, West Ham the following Sunday, and then they have a trip to Huddersfield. Do you think Sean Dyche is going to get some momentum at some stage?
They were better against Spurs. Obviously, it was kind of the old school Burnley, good rearguard action, and then they get done in injury time. But he changed things. He's trying to change things. He was playing
Went for three at the back.
Three at the back. Yeah, Kevin Long came in, and they just they had one or two chances. Ashley Barnes had a good chance in the game, but they're not scoring enough goals. I actually, at the start of last season, I remember the opening weekend, I said, I think Burnley could go down, and then they went 3-0 up in Chelsea. But I was a season out.
Oh, well.
Yeah. I think though as well, what the problem has been there for Burnley is that, and everybody will look at the defence and, point out the problems there, but I actually think it's been the injuries that they've had in midfield, like to the likes of Robbie Brady, to Goodmanson as well, who are both really key players, and they will help the defence in, attacking teams and keeping the pressure on the opposition team.
Is a big loss as well when he's not there.
Absolutely. And I think getting Brady and Goodmanson, like they've both been in and out of the team due to injuries, I think getting the two of those fit and getting a run in the team will actually help the Burnley defence. I think they could win 2 out of those 2 matches, or those 4 matches over Christmas.
I was talking to someone recently who covers a lot of Burnley and watches a lot of Burnley, and he said actually he doesn't feel that there's a big difference between Burnley this season and Burnley last season. He just felt that Burnley last season got every bit of possible luck going. You look at the amount of matches that they won 1-0, that in these tight games they'd score a winner and they would hang on and the opposition would create countless chances and everything just stayed out. It's not the greatest analysis in the world, but this season, as you say, they got done in injury time. They're constantly getting done. You look at the Liverpool game. Alisson makes this wonder save to bring it back to 2-2, and Liverpool go straight up the other end and they end up getting beaten 3-1.
Yeah. I thought that performance, when I saw the performance against Liverpool, I thought maybe this is a turning point, and they went and they won the next weekend against Brighton. But they have always conceded possession and shots. They'll say to you, a bit like the way United approached the game last Sunday at Anfield, we're going to sit in the edge of the box. If you can score from 35 yards out, fair play to you. You can keep trying. Because I think back to when they beat Liverpool 2-0 in that game at Turf Moor, when they were back in. Liverpool had 85% possession and lads were just shooting from outside. And Joe Hart, is he to blame for any of this?
I think generally in life, if you're stuck, blame Joe Hart. You're never going to go too far wrong, are you?
I'll go with that.
Yeah, well, like they've 3 decent keepers.
Yeah.
I know Pope's been injured, but they're talking about Heaton leaving.
Yeah.
Right, let's. I just want to do this because I can't say Hasenhüttl enough. What about Southampton's fixtures then for the Christmas period? They obviously had that great victory at the weekend against Arsenal, so they take on Huddersfield away, then they have West Ham at home, Manchester City at home, and Chelsea away. So again, this is, you need to get your 6 points quickly, and then you can relax a little bit, at least against City and Chelsea.
Yeah, definitely. Now look, we all know Huddersfield is not an easy away fixture, especially if you're down at that bottom half of the table. West Ham can be poor on the road, can't they, Phil? So I'd actually fancy them in that home game. Huddersfield, I wouldn't call that one, but if they can get the same kind of performance that they got last week against Arsenal, hit Huddersfield with pace, there's definitely a chance they can.
I wouldn't call that one, and I probably wouldn't watch that one.
No, it's a bit like Huddersfield Newcastle last week. Wasn't one that many people were talking about. But if they win that, back-to-back wins, and then there's enough quality in the Southampton team. And
Is there?
There's a few.
Last season I would go there thinking there's enough quality. Now I'm wondering if these guys are actually all
Mark
that.
Hughes, though.
Well, he would drag the life out of anybody, but
and Hasenhüttl as well. He'll be able to attract a few players in the January window as well, because these lads that have managed on the continent, you saw even when Marco Silva came into Hull, like he was getting these lads. They're like, where did he get them from? Yeah. Because if people know who they are, they'll come play for them.
We also know as well, Chelsea aren't exactly a team you'd be banking on every weekend. I know like they're up in the top half and everything, battling for top 4 place, but you'll always get these funny results over Christmas time, weird results that nobody was expecting. Southampton getting on a bit of a run. The City game's obviously a tough one before that. They could go to Stamford Bridge and get a draw or something like that, maybe a 1-1 or something, if he gets his defence sorted out, and Shane Long and Charlie Austin clicking up front.
All right, so there's some of the Christmas fixtures to look forward to. We'll obviously have reporters at all these games on Off the Ball. So, Keith, not here today, unfortunately. Maybe he's literally sick of talking about Jose Mourinho. But don't worry, knowing Keith, he will pop up on a multiple of media platforms over the coming days. So you will get your Christmas fix of Keith Andrews at some stage. But here he is a few weeks ago talking about the now former Manchester United manager.
old school traits and the way they've been brought up, warrior type, being able to take criticism, getting them going together on a journey, and he has not evolved enough, and he is outdated now, the way he is going about it. So it's either that or he's trying to get the sack. I don't think there's anywhere in between, because the behaviour is now becoming disgusting. It really is. Like, take the tactical stuff out of it and the way his team play. Just his general behaviour it's horrible to watch.
Yeah.
Don't enjoy it at all. Don't enjoy watching his teams. That's another aspect, but I'm really not enjoying him. And I had him on a pedestal. I thought he was unbelievable at Chelsea first time around, and what he did at Inter, magnificent. But he has lost all that charm and charisma now.
We did want to bring you a little bit of Keith. There he is in all his glory.
Just watching it outside, whenever I'm watching the Keith Andrews show, it's like that Simpsons meme. You're like, that's one fine-looking presenter, and then today it's like, why doesn't mine look like that? So, you know,
Wow.
I know. Sorry, it was the first thing that came to.
very crisp.
Owen Sheehan has arrived in, but I think we'll get rid of him. Get out.
I wasn't referring to any in particular person.
Wow, bloody hell. So Owen is here because we're going to do our 2018 awards. Let us know your thoughts on all our social channels. Do leave a comment down below and we will try and read them out on air. So we're going to keep it straightforward. I'm going to get your nominations and then I'll decide which is the winner. So first up, Team of the Year. So this was a World Cup year, a brilliant Champions League, a dominant Manchester City, teams dominant across the continent. What do you think, Steve-O?
I thought about this long and hard, and I'm going for Croatia. And I just think because, you know, when you look at the squad of players, the team of players they had, it was just going to have the team in the final, Subasic, Vršelko, Lovren, Vida, Strinic, like that back five alone, to get them to a World Cup final. I know ultimately they were beaten by France, but France were a fantastic team, really good team. The likes of Rebic, Modric, Rakitic, they were brilliant. And I think they gave us...
literally a question on the crappy quiz last week. Adrian Barry got asked, name as many of the Croatian team that started the World Cup final as possible.
Right.
Many do you think you named?
2.
You're far too generous.
Modric. Just the one.
Thankfully, that crappy quiz never went out. We just didn't put that out.
Didn't make the edit.
It was just too bad.
Oh, really?
That's why it's called the crappy quiz.
Quiz.
Yeah.
But look, yeah, I listen, I just think Croatia, and they just gave us some really good entertainment, I think, through that World Cup. Really, really good side. So yeah, going for Croatia.
Phil?
Well, I almost agree with Steve-O, but then I think of the team that beat them. And it's hard not to give Team of the Year to the team that won the World Cup. There was a lot of pressure on them. They weren't always the easiest in the eye, but then they had their moments where they were brilliant. I think of the Argentina game and, you know, the World Cup final as well. So I would go for France.
Okay. Owen?
Haven't you exactly left me a lot to work with here, lads?
It doesn't have to be an international team. You could go for Dundalk if you want.
It could do. I'm going to go for Real Madrid just because of the three-peat, as I like to say in the United States, about what they did. I don't think we're going to see that again anytime soon. I think it's the crosshairs are a little bit, they're narrowed on Real Madrid at the moment, so they're not going to do it this season, I don't think. And I don't think we're going to see 3 in a row for a long, long time again. It was just this strange scenario where a dressing room full of massive egos actually like their manager. And it's one of those strange things that we just don't see anymore. And Zidane got lucky to a certain extent because he's got this huge profile. I don't give him too much credit for this managerial masterstroke, but also we've got to admire them in terms of Team of the Year for that really weird victory lap that they did in Kiev, where they all looked like they hated each other and they just won a 3 in a row. What a team. Like, that is something
I didn't
special.
hang around for their victory lap, funnily enough.
Yeah, I was in the kitchen, I think, making a drink.
I wonder why. Yeah, I didn't think the 2 lads would go with that one, I have to say.
Well, I'm not going to go at Real Madrid because I think they were absolutely poxed to win the Champions League last season, and the best Real Madrid team was the 2017 team that killed Juventus in the final.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Croatia as well. France were expected to do brilliant. Like Croatia getting to a World Cup final. The comeback against England, just the beauty of Modric in midfield.
Yeah.
Got to get Team of the Year. Tough luck, lads. Well done,
And
Steve.
Mandzukic, brilliant.
Goal of the year.
Benjamin Pavard.
I went for Gareth Bale, not the second one in the Champions League final.
Yeah, the
His
overhead kick.
Yeah.
Messi versus Nigeria.
Oh yeah. John Giles, I think, went for Messi against Nigeria.
Well, that's
That's
well
the
done.
beauty of it.
Me and John Giles were, cut from the same cloth.
Control, the 3 touches, and
Yeah.
bang.
Yeah, and it was the ball in as well. The ball in was fantastic, and then just that, the touch was just unbelievable. So yeah, Pavard's the hipster's choice, isn't it, Owen?
It's not really. It's if you appreciate art. It's like you don't have to be a hipster to appreciate the fact that the Mona Lisa is a pretty good painting.
Well,
You don't have
look,
to be a hipster to appreciate the.
as far as I'm concerned,
Bible.
Pavard, he got the head down. There was great technique in it, but it was a hit and hope, you know.
But where was he hoping? Where was it like? Where?
Where was he hoping to go? He was hoping he would bend it in at the far post, which is exactly what he did.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a one hit. Look, Messi showed grace, skill, everything that a footballer wants.
Pavard didn't.
Nah.
3 worthy nominations for Goal of the Year, but I'm going to go with Phil. Champions League final, biggest game of all in club football, and you score an overhead kick.
Yeah, and you've been
That's
on
the dream.
You're on the bench as well.
That's the dream,
Yeah.
right there.
You know, knocking out Lionel Messi in a World Cup isn't bad.
We haven't even mentioned
In a World Cup
Ronaldo.
that you eventually win.
Ronaldo's overhead.
Juventus.
Do you have that better than Bale's?
I do. A better goal, but I would put Bale higher than it.
What
because
about
of the
Mo? Oh, well,
importance.
that wasn't actually. I was going to say Mo Salah's goal that won the Puskas Award, but it wasn't scored in 2018. It was against Everton, which wasn't even his best goal of last season.
What was his best goal last season?
His best goal of last season was maybe the goal against Spurs at the end, where he wiggled his way through. Or I always like the goal against Manchester City, the 4th goal, where he chips Ederson from a million miles out.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many.
Yeah.
There was 44 of them, was it? All right, so goal of the year goes to Gareth Bale. Well done, Gareth. We'll be across to give you your award very, very soon.
So
I'm sure
are we
you'll
just
tweet-
like talking here pointlessly, and it's just your selection that's going to win?
No. You're giving your nominations, and then I decide which one of
Alright.
your 3 is the best.
Sorry, I thought you just kind of had
He's the veto.
I thought you had like a list there already, and we're just
No.
speaking
So
here for no reason.
as the decisive voice, I'm replacing Keith Andrews. So my vast footballing knowledge gives me the power to decide which of your 3 arguments. So if you want to get one selected on, make a better argument. Benjamin Pavard, the end. Not good enough. I'm sorry. Game of the year.
Japan against Belgium.
Now we're going pure own hipster choice.
How was that hipster choice? How did you feel watching that? Did you feel enthralled? Did you feel like you were seeing something that you've never seen before? Yes, you did.
I totally fight that game. I totally forgot about it when I was considering it's a good shout.
So Japan are 2-0 up with 20 minutes left, and Belgium come back to beat them 3-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember actually before the World Cup, I said Roberto Martinez and Belgium are going to be the biggest disappointment. So Japan were 2-0 up, and I was thinking, yes, Japan, see this one out. And obviously Belgium then beat Brazil.
Well, it is like that Super Bowl call a few years ago, the dumbest play I've ever seen. The corner kick that Japan had to win the game. Now, at the time, I was kind of like, you can't really blame them too much until you actually see an overhead camera and they left 2 men back or whatever it was.
The game of the year is the game that has you literally off your seat, standing for 5 minutes, and you can't sit down. You haven't even noticed that you're in the middle of the room with your hands outstretched going, what is happening?
Spain-Portugal had that more than Belgium-Japan just because it was the second day of the World Cup. I think that if Belgium-Japan was on the same day and I was similarly unused to the exhilarating nature of the World Cup, then I would have had the exact same reaction. I think in the cold light of day, all the hours and hours I put into thinking about this, Belgium-Japan definitely wins on a pure art basis.
Okay. Phil?
I've 3 written
I'm gonna
down.
win here.
Pick one.
So I'm going to go for the Liverpool and Manchester City game, just because of what happened that day, the fact that Liverpool scored 3 goals in a short amount of time. City were unbeaten at the time as well, and that was nuts. That was me standing up going, what is going on here? Manchester City are being ripped apart. And of course, Liverpool gave
Almost
them
blew it.
Yeah. As Van Dijk wasn't playing.
Well, that was the best game I was at this year.
Yeah.
Without question. Liverpool 4, Man City 3. Steve-O, what are you going with?
Well, I'm actually going to go for a game I was at as well because you crazy fools decided to send me over to Arsenal Spurs a few weeks ago in the Premier League.
Oh, yeah?
For my off-the-ball debut. And it was just, I suppose, being there does help because you feel the atmosphere. But what an incredible game it was. It was just, Arsenal go in front. Spurs are back in front then before half-time. The Emirates was pumping, or throbbing, I should say, that like it never has before. Gary Breen was sitting there beside me. He said he never experienced anything like it at the Emirates. And then for those goals, when Torreira scored that goal, the place just absolutely lifted. And yeah, I thought it was an incredible game for a North London derby as well. Like that's everything you want in a derby. There was a bit of handbags. There was like it got a bit aggro at times. And
Steve-O approved
Brilliant.
handbags. This was the moment I knew Steve-O was going to make it as an off-the-ball commentator. When they all went down and started having the old scrap, Steve was like, "It's great to see, isn't it? It's great to see."
Stood up. Go on.
Get in there. All right. My thoughts were Juventus Real Madrid for the final minutes, Ronaldo's penalty, proper shithousery that was going on.
Yeah.
It was Real Madrid at their peak. I also like the last 2 minutes of England-Colombia.
Pickford save
and England celebrating.
Yeah.
And then they concede straight away. The great Yerry Mina stepping up at a crucial moment. But I am going to go with Eurozone.
Yes, 1 win.
Go.
Belgium, Japan.
1 for 2.
Belgium
Good
against
shout.
Japan is our game
Thank
of the
you very
year.
much.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Manager of the
Amazing.
year. Let's run through these quickly.
Well, I was going to go with Zlatko Dalic because of what he did with Croatia. But I'm going to knock a couple of points off because of how they've gone in the Nations League since it. So
Oh, who knew the Nations League was going to hold so much importance?
So,
So
I'm
Ronald
going
Koeman is your manager of the year.
to come back a little bit closer to home, and I'm going to go with
Martin O'Neill.
Keith Long,
Oh,
the manager of Bohemians.
are you a Bulls man?
Who I'm not going to admit anything like that on live webcast, but I think for the budget that he has at Bohemians to do what they do, got to an FAI Cup semi-final, to keep that team up, in that Premier Division against the resource that some of the top clubs have, he's doing an incredible job, and I'm going to give my manager of the year to Keith Long.
Oof.
Longer, you mean?
Longer.
Fellow.
It's an obvious choice, but just the whole year, Pep Guardiola. My hair
We've gone
icon.
from ultimate hipster to straight down the middle.
It's going to be hard to kind of be Pep-like. So maybe in terms of manager, in terms of the cult of the manager that was created this year, Gareth Southgate, in terms of the fact that his waistcoat became a meme. Not just him becoming a meme. His waistcoat became
Singing
a
his
meme.
name at the darts. That's how popular he is now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, he's had one hell of a 2018. I'm not saying he's the best. It's hard to make a case for anybody better than Pep unless you go into a case-by-case basis and try and make a
Well,
case
the
for
only
Stephen Kenny.
thing is that this time last year, everyone knew Manchester City were going to win the league.
True.
And that's all they did.
True.
They're not finishing this year top of the Premier League. So
Oof.
therefore,
Not yet.
well, right now when we're holding these awards,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
By
saying?
year end.
I think we're going to give it to Keith Long because we may actually be able to meet Keith Long and tell him this great thing that has happened.
What does he get? What does he win?
Box of USA biscuits.
Oh, nice
yeah,
one.
there's
Yeah.
many of them out there.
Yeah.
Steve-O's going to hand deliver it on your next pilgrimage to
Absolutely.
Bohemians. This is a tough one. We've had a huge response to this, many nominations. Irish Player of the Year. Now, Joseph, our producer, says that this has to be in a green jersey.
Well then there's one standout option. Declan Rice.
Declan Rice.
I didn't think of that one. I just went for Shane Duffy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big man.
I'd gone for Shane Duffy.
Ticks
as well,
both
but
boxes.
I can,
Done brilliant at club level
could
and
we
international
could
level.
we dip down into underage and say Troy Parrott?
Oh, I like what you did
So,
there.
I don't think so. Why?
No. He's been brilliant at underage level, playing for the under-19s, and this guy he's the next Robbie Keane. He is going to score over 100 goals, I should
For
say
Ireland?
over 60, 70 goals. He's going to win over 100 caps for Ireland. Yeah, this lad. I'm not. Look,
Sorry.
I don't want to put too much
Ali
pressure on the guy.
You've lost the run of yourself. He's going to score 60, 70 goals for Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely. This fella is
Not a hope
he's got
in
the
hell.
stuff. He's got the stuff.
To be fair, a good Ireland career would be 25 goals. A very good Ireland career.
It will
He's
be
second
one
top
of the
scorer.
greatest Irish careers.
The second highest scorer.
What about Darren Randolph? Never does anything wrong.
I
Crossed my
thought of
mind.
Randolph.
Hasn't made a single mistake.
It's
It's not
sad
his
that
fault what's going on
defenders
in
and
front of him.
goalkeepers is who we're talking
That's
about.
Cyrus Christie.
Yeah.
Midfielder.
No.
So are we going for Shane Duffy, or should we again give this award to Declan Rice?
Because he's-
maybe put it out there, tweet about it.
With a shamrock emoji.
Exactly.
It's not pandering
Irish
to him at
Player
all.
of the
I
Year.
genuinely think it
and
is.
then if he likes that, we get a little story out of it.
We're in.
There you go.
The
Keep
door's
Kilban
open.
away from it, though, is the only thing.
He'll turn around in the queue from the passport office and say, you know what, I've changed my mind.
Moment
It's
of
not
the
true.
year. So I've given that to Shane Duffy.
I'm going to go to
Oh,
the
wait.
FAI Cup semi-final. Sorry,
Sorry, I
is it-
disagree
yeah.
with the Duffy thing anyway. Go on.
Okay. FAI Cup semi-final, 87th minute. Dara Leahy, Bohemians fullback, tackles Conor McCarthy to give away a penalty, which gave Cork City the chance to equalise and take the semi-final to a replay down in Turner's Cross, which Cork ultimately won. And I just think it was a moment of the year because Irish soccer, there was a chance for the Cork City and Dundalk have just had a grip on this thing over the last 3 seasons. It was a chance for another club to break through there, to get into an FAI Cup final, and that tackle changed. Bohemians hadn't been in a final since 2008. That tackle just changed things, and for me that was the moment of the year anyway, so I'm just going to go domestic again.
Bitter. Phil.
The moment of the year, Irish football, Mick McCarthy comes back as Ireland manager.
Right. Wow.
For better, we hope.
Well, yes, of course. Okay. Underwhelming,
Sure.
I'm going to say, Phil.
There's a bit of a theme running through my memories of 2018 here. England beating Colombia in penalties.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Moment of the year, yeah.
We immediately lost that stick to beat England with. We had to bury the hatchet. And say
My
goodbye to
moment
it.
of the year, which is the one that's going to win, Loris Karius in the Champions League final was the footballing moment of
Which
the year.
moment?
Yeah.
Throwing the ball off Benzema.
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen happen in a football match
Jordan
of that
Pickford.
magnitude.
Of that magnitude. Jordan Pickford's was more ridiculous.
No.
I think
Karius's was more ridiculous.
Well,
Imagine doing
In a
that
Champions League final,
in your
granted.
in a Champions League final.
but as an individual moment, Pickford's was like absolutely ludicrous.
Karius was so bizarre that obviously he had the ball in his hand, and I think had a drink, and I said, right, I can take a sip now because he has the ball. And then I looked up, and the ball was in the net. I didn't know what happened. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And I was watching it with my dad. He was like, "Oh, you need to wait to see this." And so I can see it's the one. It was the moment where it was a moment of madness.
Yeah, I kind of argue with that. I have to
Great,
say.
we'll go with Karius in the Champions League final is off the ball's moment of the year. Finally, International Player of the Year. Was this just World Footballer of the Year, Joseph?
Or an Irish, but it could be an Irish player.
Could be an Irish player.
Could be Shane Duffy again.
or Troy
Non-Irish
Parrott.
Player of the Year.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm go-
Rules Shane Duffy out.
Listen, I'm gonna fight for Gary Breen here. I know
Gary Breen is our Player of the Year.
No.
You really enjoyed that trip to Arsenal Spurs, didn't you? Oh, we should have done favourite co-commentator of the year and favourite pundit of the year.
I'm going to go for Real Madrid and France centre half Raphael Varane. I'm going to fight for the centre halves here because I think he was overlooked at the World Footballer of the Year, the Ballon d'Or Awards, and I think he should have won it. I think he's been fantastic. He won the Champions League, he won the World Cup, and he's just a superb defender who I don't think gets the credit he deserves. And I know Gary was on off the ball a couple of weeks ago. Actually, he was on the night of the Ballon d'Or Awards talking to Joe, and he just couldn't believe that he was so far down the pecking order. So yeah, Raphael Varane.
So he doesn't have mad hair like David Luiz. That's why. I'm going for Modric. Just Champions League winner, gets to a World Cup final.
So vanilla. But like, probably the correct choice, isn't it? For me, it's Kylian Mbappe.
You see, maybe it's just Messi. Let's just go Messi.
Maybe it's just Messi.
Maybe it is just Messi.
It's
come along to
International
that.
Player of the Year.
But is it what you did in your international
No,
team
World
jersey?
Player of the Year.
It's
Yeah.
just World Player of the Year.
Okay.
We're literally just making this up as we go along.
Off the Ballon d'Or.
The overseas player of the
Oh,
year.
I like what he did there.
That's not bad. So we've added a couple of special rounds that we're going to have to go through. Who is your favourite off-the-ball football pundit of the year? So is it Kevin Kilban, Keith Andrews, whose show we're currently on, Kenny Cunningham, or Gary Breen?
Does Kenny is he ruled out because he talked about food too much? Do we just scratch him off?
That's some of his
straight away?
best stuff.
Yeah, I suppose.
That was on Gift Grub yesterday. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, it did, yeah. Toast.
We're going to offend somebody here, and I don't want to offend anybody because I love all
Don't be
the
afraid to
lads.
offend.
No, it's fine. Listen, if
They'll slap you in the back
so
sometimes
Keith,
as well.
Keith
Don't
has
be a
come in,
snowflake, Stephen.
you know, as I say, the hair is there, he's looking slick, turns up on time for work, and then you've Kevin Kilban. So, listen, if Kev needs to up his game, now's the time for you to tell him.
Yeah.
Or if Gary, you felt on your first co-commentary, felt he maybe could have offered more.
Yeah.
I think Kev's got great work rate though, in fairness. I think he's solid, dependable.
No, you want to sit in the fence.
Yeah, I'm going to sit the fence.
He's literally done us over 6 times in OTB AM in the last year, so he's not dependable. Just to put that one out there.
Wow.
Keith, is he better presenter than he's a pundit? I don't know. It's a jury. As in, no, he's such a good presenter that he's ruled himself out of the punditry race.
Oh, that's a good point.
Who are the other two people? Kenny Cunningham. Does he speak too much about food? And then Gary Breen. Does he not speak too much about food? So, not having any of them.
Can we just go for Premier League lives, Brian Kerr?
Let's go over it. Let's go.
BK,
Brian
can't
Kerr.
we?
Let's go Brian Kerr.
BK.
Brian Kerr. But
Unanimous choice, BK.
But even what Kenny brings to the building when he comes in, that means for me he goes up. Like when he walks in, things go up a notch.
We haven't had any cream cakes in a while, though.
All right, so Brian Kerr is the off-the-ball football pundit of the year. Well done, Brian. You see, I was thinking you could say something about, just don't insult Kev is the key thing, because the rest of them, I'm fairly sure, aren't on social media. So it's fine. But Kev is the only one who'll find out. So we think Kev is also great. The rest of them, whatever. Finally, one thing that's going to happen next year that nobody's expecting. So if we told you this time last year that Ole Gunnar Solskjær would be the Manchester United manager heading into Christmas 2018, we would have laughed in your face. What do you think could happen?
Bohemians to win the SSE Electricity League Premier Division.
There's a trend here. Is Arsene Wenger going to return to the Premier League?
I was thinking he's going to.
What about this one? This time next year, Brendan Rodgers will be the Tottenham manager.
I think Eddie Howe's going to be the next Spurs manager. So
I'd go for Brendan Rodgers ahead of Eddie Howe.
Owen, have you got anything?
Ireland's finishing the top 2 in their qualifying group for the Euros.
I think that's a
We don't
massive
even
shot.
need it. We don't even need the Nations League playoffs.
All right, lads. I think we're done. Are we done? Keith Andrews wouldn't have stood for this absolute shambles.
It's been great to be here, Nathan. Thanks for having us.
Steve-O, you are the winner of the awards with the most correct nominations. Owen, you came in last place.
Well, that was obviously a vendetta against me.
It's just the way it goes. So that's us done for now. Lads, thanks a million for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Happy
Nathan.
Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Do it all again next year.
Let's hope so.
Keith Andrews Show will be back in 2019 with Keith Andrews. We'll talk to you then. Good luck.